Welcome to Spotlight Features, A Look Back. I'm Sarah Love, Station Manager at Rogers TV. Our passionate producers work with local storytellers to share their voices and amplify their message. In this episode of Spotlight Features, we will share 6 stories that have inspired us with their lasting impressions. So sit back, relax, and prepare to delve into these narratives that have made 2023 a memorable year. In the spirit of respect and truth, we honor and acknowledge that this production was filmed on the lands of the Anishinaabe people of Fort William First Nation, signatory to the Robinson-Superior Treaty of 1850. The incredibly talented artist Satoko Nato, based in breathtaking Cranbrook, BC, creates unique pieces of art that truly captivate the imagination, weaving a beautiful story through a single, continuous line. With some of her work spanning over 6 feet on an accordion-style canvas, Nato's spontaneous creations are a sight to behold.
I get my inspiration from my daily life. Like when I'm walking or playing with my daughter, I always see some beauty or something new. Sometimes I feel like my hand is drawing for me without my brain. My father is a painter. I was making art like almost every day since I was young. Then I don't like other jobs. I cannot really do that. I had one children book. The story was telling with one line, with many pictures. Then I really liked it. It was a really small kid's book. I think I was inspired by that. One picture, like framed picture, doesn't tell much about time and space, just one scenery. But with this technique, I can express the time that I spent and the place I walked around. It's almost like photo album. One line drawing is easier than regular drawing, I found. Because the paper is like the accordion style, I can fold it to a very small shape, and then I can carry everywhere with me, and I draw a little bit and close it, and I change the place and then draw more. Of course, I want to sell my drawings, but I have too much attachment to my old books that I made because I have too many good memories and my friends are there and I know I can't make the same things never again. It's always exciting to see the actual things that I made from my imagination. That image that I had in my head becomes like real things that makes me happy.
Rose O'Neill from Quesnel, BC is a true symbol of resilience. A domestic abuse survivor and amputee, Rose has not only triumphed over adversity, but continues to defy all odds as an ultra-marathon runner. Join Rose as she sets out to achieve her goal, beating her able-bodied race time in over many mountains.
I just told the doctor that if I'm gonna die, I'm gonna choose the bullet I'm gonna die from. So we're gonna cut my leg off. My ex-husband, he hit me with his work truck and I was thrown down a 30-foot embankment and left for dead. I managed to somehow crawl up that embankment, and I was found by some lost loggers, and they took me to the emergency room, and that was the start of my journey. We don't know if you're going to gain functioning ability in your leg. We don't think you're going to walk again. What do you think about this? And I said, well, I think you're telling the wrong person because I don't believe you. It's not an option. I will walk again, and that's all there is to it. For me, running is just, it's a lifeline. I was very overweight and I had zero self-esteem. I was at a point in my life where I didn't really have any choices. There was a lot of abuse going on in my life. And I walked and I walked and I walked. I walked the soles off of my shoes. These are the Emperor's Challenge. Those are the medals there, the 5 times I've done them there. I became stronger, I became faster, and it gave me the courage. You know, it doesn't matter how many times you fall, you always can get up. You have that choice. You know, you can lay on the ground and go, you know, here, I'm just gonna stay here. Or you can say, get up. I grieved the loss of my leg for 24 hours. I was done. I eat and breathe the mud and the mountains. They saved me.
All right, guys.
You know, when doctors told me I wouldn't be able to walk again, focusing on running and saying, no, I'm gonna run again, really galvanized me to move forward. The Emperor's Challenge is a mountain run in Tumbler Ridge, and it is absolutely breathtaking and absolutely brutal. It is one of the toughest mountain races I have ever done. It's tough enough on 2 legs. The best time I did it in, I think, was 2 hours and 36 minutes. I'm the only adaptive athlete that's ever run that race in 20 years. I was so happy to be able to race it this year. Even though I didn't finish it in time, I still crossed that finish line. I couldn't move for 5 days after that race. The end of my stump was a complete blister. I wouldn't change a thing. I had beautiful friends waiting for me at the end of the line. You know, I had family. I had so much more, and I gave everything I had. But I know next year I have more to give. And my goal is not unrealistic when I say I will beat my able-bodied time with my prosthetic leg, and that is my ultimate goal. And it's going to take a lot of work, and I know that, but I'm going to do it. I could lose my other leg tomorrow, and I would get another prosthetic, and I would keep going. Like, I am just that hungry for it. Nobody is going to stop me.
Now we head to Kamloops, BC, where after the end of a 38-year relationship, Diane Desbeau took her little carry-on suitcase and hit the road. It was the beginning of her incredible journey of self-discovery, driving 17,000 kilometers across Canada in her tiny home on wheels she calls Ma Chérie.
After 38 years, I took my little carry-on suitcase and I left. Feel the fear and do it anyway. This trip was a dream come true. All my life, for 38 years, I only did what my ex-partner wanted to do. I noticed that I'd become a shadow of myself. It was difficult because he was the love of my life, he still is, but I had to free myself to really explore who I was deep inside. So one day I left. That's 4 years ago, and I never went back. This is my van. Her name is Ma Chérie, and Ma Chérie in English means my darling. It was always a dream to get a van and to do a trip across Canada. I have a fridge that I love. That's going to be a game changer. So Ma Chérie went through some ups and downs because it was a cargo van. It was a working van. So I found somebody to convert it into a tiny home on wheels. When I went to pick it up, and oh my God, I was crying. I was so happy. I was finally ready to leave after 1 year of preparation. June 1st, 2022, I was so excited. It was happening. Like I had all that build up. I'm gonna go, I'm gonna go, I'm gonna go. And now I'm going. I had a friend of mine that has a farm in Saskatchewan. So going there, I had a kind of a point of reference. So I stay at the farm for a couple days. And then it's after that, Ontario was a big, open, wide road. And this is where I started having some anxiety. I had some fear because it's the unknown. I had to use music whenever I had anxiety, just to give me that boost behind the wheel and let's go, let's conquer that fear. And then the fear was gone. I would say, let's conquer that world. Let's do it. Bonjour, mes amis. I'm right by the ocean in Prince Edward Island. Life is good. I can't ask for better. I discovered that I could do way more than I thought, and that those fears that I had were just kind of a blind. So once you lift that blind up, I felt freedom, liberté.
Who are you going to call? In Winnipeg, Manitoba, you don't have to look far for genuine Ghostbusters. But they don't just catch troublemakers from the other side. Neighbors and lifelong Ghostbusters fans, Chris and Adam, helped found the Winnipeg Ghostbusters in 2016 and have been making an impact in their community ever since.
To be a Ghostbuster, it's it's an experience that's so hard to explain to people, because I remember being 5 or 6 years old and being in elementary school, and they would go around and ask the kids what they wanted to be, and one kid would be like, oh, I want to be a teacher, a firefighter, and you know, little 7-year-old Chris is like, I want to be a Ghostbuster, and the teacher's like, well, Chris, you can't be a Ghostbuster. Well, I mean, 30-something years later, here we are, right? I'm Chris Rutherford, and I'm a Winnipeg Ghostbuster. How do you explain getting into Ghostbusters? Honestly, it's just one of my earliest core memories. Like, it came out the year I was born, and it's always been part of me. I saw this documentary called Ghost Heads, and it was all about different Ghostbuster groups around the world, or franchises they're called. And you know, they dress up and they go and they support charities or help kids. And I'm like, I kind of want to do this for Winnipeg. The Winnipeg Ghostbusters are an official Ghostbusters franchise for the city of Winnipeg. So what that means is we've been sanctioned by Sony Pictures, who are the producers and owners of all Ghostbusters content. And they send you a little certificate saying you're an official Ghostbusters franchise, and the only real mandate they have is that you have to give back to your local community any way you seem fit. So our group primarily focuses on raising money or supporting local children's charities.
Let's just have a good time. Let's make some people smile. Let's make some money for the Children's Hospital, and let's show them what the Winnipeg Ghostbusters is all about, all right?
Hands in.
All right, hands in, everybody, let's do this. Count of 3, go on 2. 1, 2, woo! All right, everybody, let's do this.
I guess part of the subplot or the story really behind Ghostbusters, yes, it's about 4 guys running around catching, you know, paranormal entities and saving the city, but it really deep down the story is 4 everyday guys going out there and making a difference in their community. And that's really what it comes down to us, and that's part of the whole mandate of being a Ghostbusters group, is just being that difference that you want to see in the world.
Are you excited to meet some Ghostbusters?
When we first started doing this, we didn't know how the kids were going to react. And you know, all of a sudden they see us and all you hear is, Ghostbusters! And they come running up and give you a hug. Like it just blows your mind having that experience.
Beautiful.
Perfect, looking good.
The amount of work everyone puts into this, like it's astronomical sometimes when you think about it. And when you get done those events, you know, you're beat up and you're tired, your back's sore, your feet hurt. But then you look and you see that, you know, that money you raised, or you see how much fun those people had, or you get messages. It's self-fulfilling, and it keeps coming in, and just that giving, you get selfish for it. You want it so bad, you just want to keep giving because you get like a high off that, and nothing beats it really.
Who's your favorite Ghostbuster, buddy? High five!
Seeing the kids' faces, it's brought so much joy to my life. I don't know, it's just fulfilling a lifelong dream.
All right, who are you gonna call? All right, have fun, everybody.
Next, we head over to Saskatoon, Saskatchewan to meet the one and only Mike Digu, a passionate and self-proclaimed beaver enthusiast, also known as the Beaver Tracker. Mike dedicates his time to closely studying the activities of these amazing, industrious creatures.
Every time I think I've seen it all, something will happen and I'll just get this really great intimate moment with a beaver or two that they're doing some kind of behavior I hadn't seen before. Just trying to get that next great shot, that next great moment. My name is Mike Digu. I'm a Saskatoon citizen of 30-some years, and over the last 4 years I've developed this hobby of going out most nights to the river and looking for beavers. And then when I find them, I follow them for the evening, I take photos and videos of them, and I share them on the internet with anyone else who'd be interested in seeing beaver content. It started off as a pandemic hobby, actually. It was the first week of lockdown. We were going a little stir crazy, and my wife suggested maybe it would be good for both of us if I had a reason to get out of the house for a little while. So I went for a walk by the river, and I saw a beaver, and I decided to follow it. And I followed it until dusk and found a lodge with a whole bunch of beavers in. Ever since then, it's been a very regular hobby of mine to go beaver watching. I love just being outdoors. There's a lot of people who are regulars by the river, and over the 4 years I've been doing this, I've made a lot of new friends, some by name, some just by sight. They know what I'm doing. They always wave and ask how the beavers are, and so there's a real social element to it. Well, I'm not a photographer. It was kind of the running joke in the family that I should never hold the camera because I couldn't frame a picture. I would cut people's heads off. So I don't consider myself a photographer, but you know, I can take 500 photos in an hour out here, just click, click, click. And as long as 3 or 4 of them look really good when I put them on the computer, I share those and people think, wow, you take such great photos. And they just don't see the 496 in my delete box. I do love the fact that when I post these interesting things, I hear from people saying, this was so great. I love that you posted that. And so that really keeps me hyped to keep going back, trying to get that next really cool shot. I think my biggest thrill from watching the beavers, it's probably happened about 4 or 5 times where I've just been sitting very quietly next to some beavers and one of them has walked over and sniffed my shoe, curious about what that object is next to the water. Obviously, I sit really, really still because it's a wild animal. I don't want to startle them, but to have a wild beaver crawl up to you and sniff your shoe, that was pretty special. Those are moments I'll never forget. It's just a wonderful place to spend time. The trails, the nature, the people. You just never know what you're going to see.
Bill Jones is an incredible Indigenous soapstone carver from Garden River, Ontario, and his passion for revitalizing his culture is inspiring, as he engages with Indigenous youth by providing them with the tools that they need to reconnect with their heritage. Through Phil's mentorship, sharing his wisdom and cultural teachings, he helps young people explore their roots.
So, nice little gouge going already, and that's just from a blunt tip.
Those spirits in that stone, if you listen, they'll talk to you. They're our grandfathers. We bring those rocks into our sweat lodges. Especially doing this, it's like, wow. You're just right connected. You got the earth in your hands realistically because you're making the dust, but you also got stone. Sometimes when you're in a lodge, you'll see things. And that's how they'll come to you, is like smoke or like that, right? So I'll try and mimic that idea on my carvings. I like to do things the way I was taught. It's just how my grandparents taught me when I was, first time I went into a lodge was I was 13 years old. And we hid. We were in the bush. Why are we doing it back here? Well, we can't do it where we were. Before, it was still illegal back then to actually do our ceremonies. So that's why we would hide. I go and help all kinds of medicine people, pipe carriers. Comes up to me and he says, here. He grabs that and he's like, here, do something with that. And it looked like just like a stone, right? A rock. So I grabbed it and I was walking outside and he's like, hey, where are you going? So I'm gonna throw this outside for you. He's like, no, bring that back. And he said, so he brought it back and he grabbed it and he grabbed the nail and he went, and he scratched it. And you could see the dust come. I was like, oh. He says, now do something with that. That's how I got started carving. Now, people have opportunity to come and learn. They have that chance. We never heard of any of the teachings in school. That was always private. Now, we can actually go into the schools and we can actually do the teachings. We can actually do, simple ceremonies. Some of the youth are actually going to sweat lodges as part of their programs, which is cool because they're learning, they're understanding. No matter how many times I can do this bear and make him look the same, he's always going to be a different color. There's always going to be something special about that little bear. Whether it's a fault line or, this guy's got, he's got a dark stripe going on his back and both cheeks are brown. To give you a really good idea, we'll just pour a little bit of water on him and you'll see the colors. So he's got a little stripe going down his back, but both cheeks are brown on either side, and then he's got some greens going through them. But that's when you start polishing and you see all that, that's what excites me. More people get to see, or more people get to experience this wonderful little thing. We're creating dust. It's like, yeah, we're creating dust, but we're also creating something that you can be proud of, right? For working with students, you start working with them, they start carving, they get used to looking at the tools, and you don't really start seeing them get excited till they're about halfway to 3/4 of the way through. Then they finally start seeing the final product, the final sculpture. But then once you dunk it in the water and you start polishing it, that's when they're like, oh, look at this. And that actually, for me, when they see that final thing, it's like, look what I did. And it's like, yeah, look what you did. That one person, it just makes everything worthwhile.
With the cultural aspect of what we do, I think we're showing them a really good way of life. We're helping as much as we can. They know those 7 grandfather teachings, and that's what they're striving for.
Thank you for joining us on Spotlight Features, a look back at 2023. Keep watching Rogers TV for more Spotlight Features coming up this year. Thanks for watching.
All right, count of 3, go on 2. 1, 2.